Hello, I'm Wendy Rinaldi and I'm the author of Get It and Get It Across. Get It and Get It Across, or GIGIA for short, is a programme to help children and teenagers get a better understanding of subjects like maths, science and geography. It's suitable for children with special needs, either in a special school or mainstream setting, with or without EHC plans, and it can be used from around year 4 at primary school into the secondary school years. Essentially, GIGIA helps pupils to understand and use concepts that are covered in order because they link. Pupils first gain an understanding through the Get It activity sequence, and then they practice communicating their knowledge in the Get It Across activity set. GIGIA can be used as part of subjects at school because it complements national guidelines. But it's fun, so it can also be used as a club at lunchtimes, after school, or in the holidays. And it can be used with home tuition. In GIGIA Maths, there are 5 key areas: number, measure, time, geometry, and statistics. But the first step is to check that pupils have an understanding of size and size comparison. The reason for this is because concepts to do with number, measure and time all rest on an understanding of size and size comparison. So number is about the size of quantities and amounts. For example, to understand about counting, you need to realise that as you count, the number of things gets bigger. Measurement is clearly to do with size in all its dimensions. The way I help pupils to understand time also rests on size, because I help them to first understand about the smallest elements that can be directly experienced and build from there. It's an unusual way of teaching time, but it's very effective. I have used it with many students who struggle to tell the time throughout their childhood and were able to get the idea with this approach. So these are the concept links for number. The order is important because it enables a build to learning, starting with relatively concrete concepts and building to the more abstract. For example, working on parts and wholes before fractions enables pupils to understand what's going on when it comes to fractions. I'll come back to this with some illustrations in a moment. Working on percentage, where there are 100 parts in a whole, before money, also helps students understand about change, as the central concept here is that there are 100 pence in a pound. There are further concept links for measure, time, geometry and statistics, and if you would like to see those, please email inquiries@wendyrinaldi.com. So I'm going to show you some of the material I use to help pupils understand about parts and wholes and then fractions. We're a whole family. I'm a part of the family. I'm a whole orange. I'm a part of the orange. We're 2 parts of the orange. I'm 1 part of the orange, and so am I. We're 3 parts of the orange. I'm 1 part of the orange, so am I, and so am I. This is the whole cake. This is 1 part of the cake. And these are 2 parts of the cake. 2 of the characters that appear throughout the GIGIA Maths programme are Maths Magnifico, he's a kind of dinosaur character, and Cat. Here they are talking about fractions. Maths Magnifico is saying, fractions tell us the size of the part compared to the whole thing. There are a lot of fractions down there. There's 1 whole cake. I tell you how many parts you've got, and I tell you how many parts there are altogether. So you've got 1 part out of 2, and that's called half. There are 2 parts in this whole. We're the same size. You have one of the 2 parts. You have half the cake. I tell you how many parts you've got, and I tell you how many parts there are altogether. So you've got 1 part out of 3. That's called a third. There are 3 parts in this whole. We're all the same size. You have one of the 3 parts. You have a third of the cake. So each concept, like basic size, quantity, calculation, parts and wholes, fractions, decimal and so on, are worked on one at a time using this activity sequence. Each activity sequence begins by helping students to understand the concepts and then to use them, both practically and also to communicate their ideas, firstly by naming and then explaining. Explaining is the hardest part because it requires organisational skills as well as remembering the words. But it is important because when it comes to showing your knowledge in tests and exams, or perhaps when you want to help someone, you need to be able to communicate your learning. In Chat Show, for example, the pupils are invited onto the show as fraction experts, and they have to answer questions to show their understanding. The show can be filmed so that pupils can watch back and put any mistakes right for next time. This is what the Gigia Maths looks like, and there's an electronic version as well. If you choose the electronic version, we recommend storing the files on a laptop because then you can hook up to any screen for larger images. There is an assessment that helps you identify gaps in the pupil's knowledge and to monitor progress. You record your assessment findings onto the summary profile, and this enables you to see progress at a glance. So on this example, all the items the pupil knew on the first assessment are shaded in green, and the progress on the second assessment is shaded in orange. This is one of the assessment pictures with a character called Herb. You first check if the pupil knows the category word by saying Herb is holding different. Then you ask the pupil to name each shape. Lastly, there's a comprehension check where you name the shape and the pupil points to it. You also check their understanding of 3D and 2D. The Don't Know Man picture in the centre increases the reliability of the assessment because it reduces the likelihood of the pupil guessing. I hope that's given you an idea about Get It and Get It Across Maths. And if you have any questions, please get in touch. If you're interested in Get It and Get It Across Science, then you will find a film about this on my YouTube channel. Bye for now.